Okay, today we are going to start making our texture chameleons. We're just going to be drawing the chameleon and the outlines today. Next week we will work on adding patterns into our chameleon, and then we will end up painting the sky in the background, whatever color you choose. So to start, what I want you to do is go ahead and put your name on the back of your paper and your class code too. If you're second grade Owens, it would be 2O. If you're second grade Porter, it would be 2P. So if you don't know your code, just ask me. Then you're going to flip your page to where it's landscape style. You don't want it tall like portrait style. We want it nice and wide. The next thing you're going to do with your pencil, I'm going to use Sharpie, but I want you guys to have a pencil in your hand, is you are going to place your chameleon's head, the little template, somewhere about the middle. If you make it over too far, you're not going to have room for his tongue. And if you go way over here, you're probably not going to have room for his body and his tail. So I kind of go to the side middle and then kind of scoot back just a couple of inches. This will give me some room to make his nice cute curly tongue coming out. What you're going to do is take your pencil, hold down your template really good, and you're going to trace around your chameleon's head. All right, once you've got your chameleon's head traced, we are going to be drawing a large, it's almost like a semicircle, but it gets cut off at the head. It kind of starts up higher because you don't want his neck to be super skinny. So we're going to start about a little bit halfway through his head, and we're going to start our semicircle there and go down to about where his head ends. We don't really want his body to go way down here. We want to kind of end it around the same area. So what I'm going to do is take my pencil, and you guys need to do the same thing, and I'm going to mark about where I want to start his head, and then I'm going to mark about where I want my chameleon's body to end. And I left room so that his tail can kind of come up and around. After I make my two dots, so one's in line with this, it's got room for his tail, it's a little bit above halfway on his head, I'm going to kind of connect my dots with a nice rounded, almost like a rainbow shape. And then I'm just going to go straight across to meet back up with his head. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add his curly tail. If you look at his tail, it starts a little bit, we don't want his tail too thin, so I started about an inch or so up, and I made a big loop, went around, and then went back up to meet my chameleon's body. So I'm going to put a dot right about there, is about where I want to start my tail. And I'm just going to kind of curve around and down. And then I'm just going to kind of make a U-turn and go back up to meet his body at the end. Next, we can go ahead and add his tongue. His tongue is just a long spiral that curves around like he's trying to get insects. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil and kind of start my curve. It might go off the paper, that's okay. It'll just look like it's cropped off the paper. If yours does, it'll be fine. And I made his tongue. Next thing we're going to do is we can make an eye. That should be pretty simple. I'm just going to do about a circle here and then one in the middle for now. The next thing we're going to add to our chameleon is his legs. He's just got one leg kind of in the front coming from his head. It's a little silly. And then he's got one leg on the back. They're just kind of organic shapes, almost like a stretched out circle, not quite an oval. But I'm going to add one leg in the front, or the back and one leg in the front. Now, last I checked, chameleons don't just float around in the air, so we're going to need him something to sit on. So the next thing we're going to work on is the tree branch. It's basically just a straight line that goes behind our chameleon with a second parallel line underneath it, these two horizontal lines. So you're going to take your pencil when you do this, and everywhere you get to a spot where there's part of your chameleon, you are going to skip that spot and continue on the rest of the way. So I'm going to start my line. I want it to be near his foot, so I want my line to kind of go right under here. I don't want it to go way up here behind my whole chameleon. I'm going to come down from the chameleon just a little bit and start my line. Now it needs to go all the way across. So I got that little area over there that I have to fill in. I'm going to skip his foot and continue my line and then stop. Skip his foot, continue my line all the way to the other side. We're going to do the exact same thing, but just lower now. So we're going to make a parallel horizontal line. That means these lines don't touch, they don't intersect. They just kind of go right along next to each other. And there is our tree branch. After our tree branch, the next thing we're going to add are some leaves, because you know our chameleon's going to get hungry. So first we're going to work on this big leaf right here. If you don't have room, if his tail's way over here, you can have your leaf start like it's coming off the page, like it's been cropped off, and it should be just fine. So like you could start your leaf coming out from here, and it would be all right. I can barely fit my leaf here, so I think I might start just from the edge. And to make your leaf, you're just going to draw a big curved straight line like that to start. And then we're going to make almost like a long football shape. I guess you can kind of call it a stretched out football. We're going to do that one side first, and then we're going to finish the other side to make our leaf. Then we have two leaves to add to the bottom. It's the same thing we're going to do, but we're going to do a line going this way and a line coming out this way. So take your pencil, you're going to start somewhere on the bottom of your branch, and you're going to do one line going that way and one line going that way. Once you have your lines, you're going to do the same thing to that leaf, these leaves that we did to this one, except for it's not going to quite be football shaped this time. I'm just going to try to make almost like a half circle all the way to the tip of my leaves. The last thing we're going to add is our sun. And I put just circles for our suns, like an abstract sun, and we're going to add some textures to those too next week. To do your sun, all I do is start at the corner of my paper, kind of figure out where I want my first line to go, and I make kind of a curved line, just like you would a regular sun if you were drawing a nice outside picture. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to skip some space and then make that same kind of line, but bigger. And yes, it goes through his tongue on this one. On this one it didn't. It's okay, because when I paint over his tongue, I will get rid of that. I probably should have skipped these areas in between his tongue, but since his tongue is just skinny, I just kind of let it go through. Either way is fine. Once you're done drawing your chameleon, what I want you to do is take your Sharpie and go ahead and carefully trace over your lines. When you're done tracing, if you have any pencil lines that are showing, like you don't want to accidentally miss a pencil line and have it showing on your artwork. So you're going to take one of the big erasers out of your box and go ahead and erase any lines that you might see all over your paper. So kind of search around, see if you see anything showing, and then erase it the best you can. And we will finish these up next week.